So in this lesson we're going to have a look at how you sketch lines straight freehand. First activity is to practice sketching lines on a page to set points. So first thing we do on the left hand side of the page is create a start point, and then we're going to fill this page with different points that we can work to when practicing sketching our lines. So I would start off with having some closer to the start point, and then you can work further away. When sketching design ideas, I would tend to try and keep my sketches within a sort of scale where you're not sketching a line longer than a standard pen or pencil, just because even best practice sketching technique, you're still going to end up with some curve to the line as you tail off further away from the start point. So I filled the page there, well certainly that first half on the left, with some points to work to. So what I'm going to now do is talk through some different techniques that we can use to try and develop our sketching skill. I am working with a biro. You can use a pencil, but if you can try to use a biro, there are a lot of benefits to this, mainly because just the mechanism of the ballpoint, there's a lot less friction on the page, so it rolls more freely, and you get a better sense of control of the force you apply onto the page. So we're going to work between these points, and I'm going to talk you through how I go about sketching straight lines freehand. So first thing is visualization. So thinking about where you're trying to go to with the pen. So I would start at my start point, and I would travel to the point I intend to go to, and then travel back a couple of times. And it's almost like building in muscle memory to help your body interpret the images that it's seeing when you're aiming to project that line. So back and forth. So I would do 1, 2, 3 if I'm not too confident, and then go straight for it. Okay. So again, we'll do that again. So 1, 2, 3. I'm pushing fairly hard here, and we'll talk about line tone later, just so it's nice and clear. So that's the first thing, visualising the point you're trying to go to. Don't just go, right, I'm going for that point, and then you end up with a line a bit like that. So you've got to think about what you're trying to do. Second thing is always turn the page. Okay, it takes a lot of practice to be able to draw straight lines vertically by pulling your hand towards you or pushing away. It's much easier to work in a horizontal plane when you're starting out. So we try that again. So just this time focus on the fact that I'm going back and forth, but what I'm doing with the paper. So I'm doing a bit of a better job here, focusing on my line tone now. I'm not pushing quite as hard. So hopefully that's helped explain that there. And the third thing is the pressure and the position of your hand and what you're actually doing to move the pen on the page. So if you try sketching with your hand flat down, pushing on the surface, not only are you going to smudge where lines you've already put down, possibly ruin the concept, but also you're not going to be able to move freely. So if you have your palm down on the page and try and move, you're going to end up, naturally, your wrist naturally flicks back slightly, so you're going to end up with some slight curvature. So what you really need to be thinking about is moving from the elbow, and use your pinky as a reference point to the plane that's the surface of the drawing surface. So that helps keep, so I use my pinky as my pressure regulator, so I keep an even pressure when I'm sketching a line, but I'm really moving my elbow and keeping my wrist straight and nice and relaxed. So if I demonstrate that now, you can sort of see my pinky. We can get some nice straight lines in. Okay. So 3 techniques there, just a quick recap. So the first one is visualize your destination. Now it might be you're sketching something freehand and you haven't drawn out dots, but if you can visualize where you aim to be, you'll get a more precise line. The second thing is turn the page or rotate it. And the third point is move from your elbow. Now we've had a go at looking at sketching straight lines. I mentioned a bit about line tone, so that's important because we'll move on with our sketching technique and look at creating and how we generate complex designs. And in order to do that, we need some lines to be very faint on our page. So I basically work off a three-tone principle. So you'd have your darkest line, and that's not me digging into the page, it's just a general firm pressure line generated. Then my medium sketch tone, and then I would have my faint creating technique line. Okay, so establishing your dark, medium and light tones is really important, and practicing that. So once you've got, this takes time, and you need to get those registered in so that when you're sketching your designs, you can use those to full effect, which we'll look at in later lessons. Okay. So your task is to sketch the page I've just done in front of you, and try these techniques out. So the first thing, use that first half to practice sketching your straight lines, and then use the second half of the page to establish your free line tones. Okay, and also sketching with the biro, you can hopefully see here, it makes you commit to the page. So really think about what you're generating and putting down. Okay.